So, front of the bell housing, and remove the bolt here that holds the spring clip. This is if you've not already took the clutch release mechanism out. Apologies if I'm getting in the way with my arms, but there's no other way of doing this really. I need to see exactly what you're seeing. Then you've got 4 1/2-inch bolts and 3 7/16. They need to come out. It's quite possible they'll come out with their studs, but that's not a problem. You just, like I say, I bag them all up anyway together. Label the bags, it just keeps them to things so they don't get mixed up. Can't really do this without sticking my arms in the way. There you go. So top that's off. Switch it for the bottom. And in theory, once you break the seal on the gasket, it's quite easy to pull off. Right, all safe. There's a little tease somewhere. There's no suitable lip to get under, that's the trouble. It looks like, yep, broke the seal. There we go. Then off she comes. Inside there, you've got an oil seal. So that'll be replaced once it's cleaned up. Input. And that feels like the main bearing needs replacing. Then you've got a bolt to secure the lay shaft. So we're going to put it in gear, lock it off, get a socket on there and crack that. 4 bolts that hold the bell housing to the gearbox. Then we can get a separation done. Right, I've loosened the bolts. You didn't need to see me sitting on the gearbox with a long torque wrench. So take out the lay shaft bolt and the washer behind it. So as such, these 3 bolts just secure the lay shaft bearing into position. They're secured with another one on the other side that holds the tops of the bolts. And there's a horseshoe locking washer with tabs to bend over. There's no need to take that off at the moment, but I've just loosened the nuts. Right, take the nuts out, securing the bell housing. There's 3 bolts that go right through, and this top one is on a stud. And it's worth putting some lubrication in there because the bolts get rusty and seize into the alloy casing and it all gets a bit tight in there. And this top left one is the stud. Studs come with it, so that's a big help. It's out of the way now. If you take my advice and bag things up, it'll do wonders for the bag selling trade. Right, then the bell housing comes away from the gearbox. There is an overlap between the primary shaft, the back of the primary shaft, and the first gear that is on the end of the lay shaft. If I turn it round, hopefully, as we tease it off, we should be able be careful if you stick things in, because you don't want to damage any seals. Right, so it is a bit of a fiddle, but that gear's got to come with it. Let's see if I can get a closer view of that. So in here, so pointer, you've got the inside of the primary input shaft and the first gear that is sitting on the lay shaft. As that comes forward, it'll pull that gear off the lay shaft unless we can tease it up. Get that bolt out of the way if I can. And that one. And just talk amongst yourself for a minute while I struggle. That doesn't want to come off the lay shaft. I'll ease it a little bit, I think. There we go, the lay shaft's fallen out. You can see there where the overlap is. So that's the end of the lay shaft, and that sits behind there. So as you pull this forward, it's going to pull that apart. It's alright at this moment. It's interesting playing with it, trying to put it back together. You have to do it all upright. But we'll get to there. So, there we go. All four major components separate. One advantage is everything starts to get lighter. Let's just ease that up. So you've got a needle bearing that sits inside the end of the primary. There's the lay shaft with a spacer on the end. This can now go on the bench. I'll pull it apart, lay all the bits out to show you. Hopefully I'll find a fault. I know when I had to use this gearbox in an emergency, it was clunking horribly in second gear, but hopefully we'll find a reason why soon.